The Unseen Threads, an Allison Cain serial thriller by William Howard. Episode 2, Whispers in the Dark. My heart hammered in my chest as the realization of something sinister began to grow. This wasn't just a clue, it was a thread, fragile but visible, connecting Sarah to something far more sinister than a simple disappearance. I thanked the manager, making a mental note of the barista's name, Marco Chavez, and the cafe address. Then I walked out, the air feeling suddenly colder despite Pueblo's dry heat. I returned to the grindstone the following morning, my excuse ready. I'd forgotten my travel mug. The kindly manager, however, greeted me with a frown. Marco? Oh, he quit. Just yesterday, in fact. Said something about a family emergency out of state. Very sudden. Sudden? Too sudden. My meticulously filed mind whirred, recalling the frantic sketch on the napkin, the precise lines of that distinctive symbol. It nagged at me, a familiar shape in an unfamiliar context. And then, a jolt. Months before, while walking near the Steelworks Center, I'd briefly glanced at a community bulletin board. A flyer, partially obscured, for a new art collective had featured that very symbol as its logo. I'd dismissed it as just another local art venture then, but now it was screaming at me. The partial address from the napkin, combined with my vague memory of the flyer, clicked into place. It was a street name on the industrial side of town, a place of forgotten warehouses and never-used railway lines. An unlikely spot for an art collective, unless secrecy was the primary medium. I drove my RAV4 out to the address, the tires crunching on gravel as I navigated the neglected streets. The buildings there, mostly brick facades with boarded-up windows, stood like skeletal remains of Pueblo's industrial past. The address on the napkin led to a particularly desolate block, dominated by a large, windowless structure that looked like it hadn't seen a fresh coat of paint or a human soul in decades. Something seemed off. The padlock on the heavy metal door, though rusted, looked newer than the rest of the building. That odd reference to new wine and old wineskins I'd seen in some Bible verse came to mind. As I looked more closely, I noticed that the dust layer on the ground near the loading bay doors, while thick, showed faint, disturbed patterns. Not footprints, but something. Was it a drag mark? Something heavy? Inside, the air was cold and stagnant, tinged with a faint metallic smell. My flashlight beam cut through the oppressive gloom, revealing nothing but a lot of empty space layered in dust and the skeletal remains of old machinery. Though it looked like there was nothing there to see, I continued forward, sweeping the light across the grimy concrete floor. And that's when I saw something. A flicker of cobalt blue against the dark. I knelt, my fingers gingerly picking up a small, perfectly round button. It wasn't the kind you'd find on a local uniform or a standard jacket. It was made of a smoother material than your common button. The color was richer, and its tiny, nearly invisible etching on its underside was in a language I didn't recognize. It was an odd place for that sort of button. A sudden chill went through me as reality dawned. I had asserted that Sarah wasn't a runaway in my mind, but there had been some doubt until I saw that button. That tiny, insignificant clue, discarded without being missed, pointed to something international. Something far deeper and more dangerous than I'd ever imagined. I took a few quick reference photos, removed an evidence bag from my pocket, and slipped the button into it. My mind was racing, already piecing together the next steps. Emerging from the warehouse into the weak afternoon light, my eyes scanning the silent street. A dark shape detached itself from the shadows down the road. A black SUV, its windows tinted so dark they reflected nothing but the sky. It drove past me slowly, deliberately. I couldn't see the occupants, but I felt their eyes on me, a cold, focused weight being placed on my shoulders. They knew I was here. Come back for The Thread Unravels, Episode 3 of the Allison Cain serial thriller, The Unseen Threads.